Hello and welcome back to a brand new episode of the Unsold podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Santosh Venkatesh. And for the very first time, we have stepped out of our cocoon in Bangalore and stepped into the wonderful city of Chennai. Chennai, a place of great food, great people, great cricket. Well, I have to wince when I say it, coming from an RCB fan, talking about Chennai Super Kings. And Chennai has welcomed us with a lot of rain. With a lot of rain comes the need for a hot cup of coffee. And what goes well with a very hot cup of coffee is a warm conversation. And for that, I have a very special guest. Bharath Kumar from Zoho. He heads marketing and Zoho Creator Platforms. Thank you so much for joining us, Bharath. Thank you so much for your time. Welcome.
My pleasure for this.
How are you doing?
I'm good. And yeah, not just me, the rain, so welcome you.
Thank you so much. All right. Today's conversation is about digital transformation. And I met Bharath about a couple of months ago, give or take a week in Bangalore, where I was part of your keynote presentation talking about Zoho Creator Platforms, but my interest was hooked onto digital transformation challenges. You mentioned 4 points. We'll get to that in a conversation later. So can we talk about what digital transformation is and how you have seen it evolve over the past 2 to 3 years?
Perfect, Santosh. I think I have been using this term digital transformation for more than 6-7 years now. But the definition has remained constant. Use of digital tools, technologies in all aspects of business. As simple as that. All aspects of business can be customer experience, can be employee experience, your operational aspects, etc., right? But what does this mean? What is the fun in introducing tools and technology for your operations? I look at it, my easy way to remember that is a battery. A battery recharges anything, right? Like that. Digital transformation is a battery to recharge your operation, a AAA battery. So what is this AAA? Anywhere, anytime, anybody. Anywhere is, let's say you're running operations that is spread across the country or across different countries. People should be in sync in terms of the data that they consume, the insights they're taking. Not like if you have different pieces of data, everybody interpreting it the way they want, there is not going to be any transformation. So that. Second, anybody. There shouldn't be restriction in the terms of, let's say, technology that is designed and deployed for a specific set of people alone. For example, you could be talking about a logistics company. A CEO, a CXO, someone sitting at the corporate headquarters may want a different set of tools and technology, whereas a warehouse operator who is on ground may need something that is specifically customized for him, something that will just work on a mobile, maybe with offline support, etc., right? So the tools should cater to everybody. And the most important aspect is the real-time data. That's what I call it as anytime data. If you are going to review the state of your business today, it should be based on the data, if possible, yesterday, but definitely not a stale data, right? By the time you look at data and come up with insights, your data itself could be wrong, which sounds very intuitive, but in realistic scenario, it doesn't happen like that. Like, for example, there is a review meeting that is scheduled on the 2nd, and people run around to gather all the data, put it in some Excel sheet or in a presentation. Then everybody comes together, sits and discusses, etc., which shouldn't be the case. Can you have access to real-time data whenever you want? Can there not be gatekeepers for you to access the data, take insights? That is also an aspect of digital technology. So if you can introduce tools and technology for all aspects of your business to ensure that anybody, anywhere, anytime can take the right data and figure out the right insights to make the whole business better, that is a digitally transformed business according to me.
Right. Okay. Have you seen any changes to this since the pandemic or over the past few years, or largely, by and large, remain the same?
Definitely after the pandemic, the need for this is aggravated in the sense that because people worked remotely, even now hybrid model, etc., the need for these tools has increased. Like, why should I get on a meeting? Why should I come into a discussion to understand these insights? Can they be presented to me, like be available real time in a portal or in a link where I go and check and I get the insights? But the scope is definitely increasing. I am talking more from an individual employee point of view, but even let's say from an organizational point of view, because now there are a lot of barriers that are broken because of digital businesses, you have leverage to sell to European countries sitting from somewhere down south in Tamil Nadu, right? So that sort of businesses we at Creator also are seeing, Zoho Creator also seeing, which means the need for those tools has only increased. The scope of digital transformation also has definitely increased over time.
Right. Okay, talking about from the organization's point of view, from what you've seen, who owns this digital transformation project from within the organization?
So you spoke about RCB, so I'll talk about CSK. Let's say when CSK wins a match, it's Dhoni who takes most of the credit. He goes to the presentation ceremony, he receives the award, he says nice things about the team, etc. But all the 10 other players or the 11 players, the team, everybody should contribute for the team to win. I look at digital transformation the same way. IT may be the Dhoni, the Tala, who is driving these initiatives, who has the budget maybe, who is executing the right tools, etc., etc. But every team has to contribute at varying level. For example, in a certain ground, maybe bowlers dictate terms. In a certain pitch, maybe batsmen are more important. Like that, based on your business, the ops team has to take a lot of weight for, let's say, digital transformation to succeed. If you are, let's say, a sales and marketing heavy organization, then those folks have to be on board in terms of, let's say, providing visibility of their pipeline, ensuring there is a clear visibility of the lead, etc., right? So different teams will be a part of the whole digital transformation initiative based on your organization. Who is the leader, who is the follower will change, but no two thoughts that everybody has to be involved. That's the IT will drive, but everybody has to support.
Rightly so. I think maybe a few years ago, a major overwhelming barrier for digital transformation projects was technology. But that probably isn't the case today, because talk about what Zoho Creator Platforms is built on, no code, low code, and even AI. I think that barrier is being lowered by the year. So what is the impact of such technological innovations on a transformation project?
That's a very nice question, Santosh. The scope of digital transformation is increasing. Like you rightly said, now it is becoming widely important across organizations. I came across an interesting stat that said the market scope or the the market for digital transformation is somewhere between 3.3 to 3.4 trillion, which is equal to the GDP of India. So that's the scope that we are talking about, right? What has changed tremendously, like you rightly said, with AI, low code, no code tools, etc., is, I would put it, the concept of democratization. What I mean by that is, I am a marketer, and let's say I run campaigns. I have certain budget to execute certain events, certain programs, etc. I cannot say that I didn't get the support of IT, or I don't have the right tools to provide the right information, my return on investment, etc. anymore. Irrespective of your role, you have the right tools at your disposal to ensure that you are on board in terms of the digital transformation initiatives. Now, at an org level also, typically when we think of an SMB or a startup, the thought process that comes to my mind is, let's say if I start something, the thought process that comes to my mind is, oh, I have to focus on my operations. I need to get my basics ready. After a certain point, let me think of technology, let me think of automation, was the thinking earlier. Now that has changed. Even if you are a one-person organization, even if you are doing less than, let's say, 50 lakh, 10 lakh business, technology is a part of your whole operation. It could be as simple as a WhatsApp for business that you send information to your customers, some online portal where you collect your orders and do execution. But the barrier or the definition of technology is meant only for a certain size, certain scope of organization that doesn't exist. Even that is democratized. Whether you're an SMB or a startup or a large enterprise, there is no excuse for anybody to not adopt technology. Right. Hence, more and more people, more and more organizations are adopting digital transformation initiatives, leading to the growth of the whole space.
Very interesting. Can we talk about, let's say, from your point of view, about a couple of stories which you have seen firsthand? We can take the example of Zoho Creator Platforms, how large organizations have implemented.
So I have an organization example, but before that, I'll talk about one, let's say, a personal example that I'm very proud of. I posted something on LinkedIn. This was during COVID 2020, some post, and then suddenly someone reached out saying, hey, I am working with the Chennai Corporation for something. Can I talk to you? That conversation developed, and then later what happened was, the Chennai Corporation during COVID time was looking for a vaccination portal. Yeah. Across the country, we had COVID, but for Chennai Corporation alone, they wanted something in Tamil, they wanted more control for the admin, etc. So they said, we want to build a tool with which people can register and get vaccinated. So we built that tool on Creator in less than 3 days. It went live. We demoed it to the Chennai Corporation. They adopted it. And more than 180,000 people got vaccinated through the portal. So that is always something that I'm very proud of, because I feel like, oh, what is the impact that I was able to create to the society as a part of my work itself. So that is something that immediately comes to my mind when you ask of an example. From a work point of view or organizational point of view, some of the interesting use cases are, Santosh, I'll continue to with the other point that I mentioned earlier, right? In terms of the different sizes, different types of organizations adopting. I can talk about, let's say, a big basket. Tata Big Basket, well-known player in the market. They wanted to automate their procure-to-pay process, the end-to-end process. They had custom needs because they had a very unique business model. They built the tool on Zoho Creator, and there is a publicly available testimonial where the chief procurement officer says that we were able to save more than 3 crores because of implementation of Zoho Creator in less than 6 months. So that, or I read the Hindu every day, and Hindu has a Tamil version called the Tamil Tisai. Just recently, last week, we published a story with them where Hindu Tamil Tisai is saying that I have multiple tools, including Zoho tools, but I wanted a central tool which will coordinate or integrate all these tools and also give me real-time visibility of my, let's say, stock status. My paper roles that come, I want to manage it through this tool. My execution operations, I have to manage through this tool. And this is a very unique need for me. I have 10 other tools. I have certain challenges. So I want to build something that will integrate all these tools, take data from all these tools, and also solve my business problem. And they build this on Creator. So that was another interesting use case. We also have come across very, like, I wouldn't even imagine that this person is someone who has built a technology, Santosh. For example, I've come across a farmer in US when I first traveled to US for the US Zoolix of Zoho. Zoolix user conference, where a farmer walked up to me and said, I am a Zoho Creator user. And I built an application where the government folks come for audit and they want a record. The use case is very simple in the sense that it's collecting information and putting it in one place. But the way he had visualized it, so if you are a government official coming to inspect my farm, I'll show you a mobile app that has all the data of what fertilizer I used, what was all the ingredients that went in, how I maintained the land, etc. Neatly digitally tracked for the last X years. You want to see a report for 6 months? Here it is. 1 year? Here it is. So that was like, I was blown away, like how you can apply a technology like this for very different use cases. An olive oil manufacturing user came to us and said, see, I manufacture olive oil. Very, very small niche use case. You will not come across hundreds or thousands of such folks in my country. And I want to build a solution. He built a complete olive oil manufacturing operations, supply chain coordination, cash flow management, everything done through like an ERP built on Creator. So there are hundreds and thousands of such interesting use cases on Zoho Creator.
Now, one thing which I have to confess to the audience is that Zoho has a very special place in my heart, especially coming from, I'm a big fan of the founder Sridhar Vembu, and I literally hero worship the company. And I paint no hesitation in seeing how Zoho approaches the partnership ecosystem, be it with their customers. I have been attending Zohonics events, so I deeply, deeply understand, and more than that, I appreciate what Zoho does. And to continue from talking about the organization point of view, from that point of view, what are the most common hesitations they see when it comes to transformation projects?
Nice, Santosh. Very important question. I'll start with the Zoho point that you mentioned and then connect it to my answer. First, thanks for the support for Zoho. Lot of things that we do at Zoho, let's say, for example, this conversation that we are having now, we are recording it on a Thursday morning. I'm sure when it goes live, it will be a different date. But this Thursday morning, 11 a.m., I'm here. But I have never, let's say, informed my manager, or I never informed. I told my team that, hey, I may not be available on call for, let's say, these 2 hours. But I am empowered to take this decision that, oh, this is a good conversation to have with Santosh. He has traveled all the way from Bangalore with a nice coffee. So let's have this conversation. That empowerment is enabling me to do this, right? I'm happy I'm able to have this conversation, and I'll go back to and complete my work. I connect this to the people aspect, Santosh. That's what I was driving at. For any transformation initiative to work, for any digital transformation initiative to work, it has to be people first. Primarily because even the smallest of change generally faces a lot of resistance, Santosh. Not like a conscious resistance, but our muscle memory, we are used to certain things. For example, at Zoho, there are multiple food courts, and we recently our admin team introduced a new food court and said, hey, people in building A, from tomorrow, go to this new food court because the other one, the existing one, is overcrowded. But still people are not, that is not happening. We get timely reminders saying, please go to this new food court. Please go to this new food court because the existing one is crowded, right? as simple as that. Walking to, let's say, 100 steps extra to a new food court itself needs a thought process. Someone has to accept and then make a change.
Right.
Now, suddenly saying, I will introduce a technology to, let's say, the warehouse example that we took earlier, which will make it easy for you to, let's say, in your warehouse operations, pick, pack. This will give you more productivity. You can easily track. You can make your operations smooth, etc. The immediate thought process that will come to anybody's mind is, how is it going to make my life better or not? Is it a threat for me? Is technology going to like automate things so that I am not needed to do these things, etc. So a lot of times technology requirements start with a problem statement. I don't have visibility. I need to automate, etc. Fine. And we arrive at a solution to that. But implementation is not just a technology aspect. It is a people first, culture first aspect. Bringing people on board, ensuring that they understand why this is happening, telling or giving confidence that even if this automates a certain thing, you will be doing something else. Maybe you'll be doing something more productive, more important to the business, and it is not a threat for you. Those sort of people culture aspects is what I would put as number one priority.
Right. Fair. I think this neatly brings us to your keynote in the recent Bangalore Zoho event, where I was hooked on to the 4 challenges from your personal experience. You have seen as to 4 challenges why the transformation project, digital transformation projects fail. So we can go through them one by one. You have actually mentioned a couple of them, but we can a little deep dive into them. The first challenge I saw you mention is that ideas come from many places.
Correct.
But execution rests on only a few shoulders.
Correct.
That is a major challenge.
Correct. Exactly.
Can you talk about that?
Yeah, again, we'll go to RCB. If RCB has to win, it cannot be Kohli alone, or it cannot be, let's say, the earlier ABD. Like, it cannot be a couple of superstars alone. It has to be the whole team effort. The same thing in digital initiatives also. What typically happens is everybody has ideas, because that's the easiest thing to do, right? Like, oh, this is a problem, can we automate it? My warehouse employee is not getting visibility, can we build a mobile app? The requirement, putting out a requirement is the easiest thing to do. But when that has to be converted into action, when idea has to become action, it rests on the shoulders of a small team. It's not taken ownership by across the organization. Then naturally there is an application backlog, there is a pipeline, the IT team or whoever is driving those initiatives, they have to prioritize. They will get 10 requests and they will take only 3. That will be dependent on their thought process, what they think is important and all that. So that is a major bottleneck. At some point, that warehouse team will give up. They will be like, wait, I have gone to my IT team so many times, they are not giving me the mobile app, I will live with what I already have. Then suddenly one fine day you talk about digital transformation, data needs to be clean, etc. They wouldn't buy into the idea. They even if this is corporate presentation, it's not going to impact my life. I won't get my mobile app. So that. Second, uniqueness, Santosh. That is my personal belief. Technology has to follow your process, not the reverse. For example, when we look at individuals, right? Santosh has a different flavor. You bring even to this conversation, the thought process that you bring, the way you speak. Whereas Bharath has a different flavor. I bring a different conversation. We always respect the uniqueness of individuals. But when it comes to organizations, we just bucket them. Logistics companies, warehouse companies, right? But each one is unique in its own way. It could be the people, like you touched upon Zoho, the process or the people, or for, let's say, multiple other aspects. It could be the pricing, it could be the way you build the product and so on. So your solution, your software that you're adopting should respect that uniqueness. Are you building solutions or are you deploying solutions that are tailor-made for your needs? Or is it a standard off-the-shelf solution that you're force-fitting into your organization? The challenge there is, or why is that a problem is, the people who are using the solution will not feel connected to it. Because they will feel, okay, this is a corporate initiative to drive something, but it is not understanding my needs. I work my marketing plans in a very different way compared to another logistics company. But I am not able to bring that flavor inside the software. It is not going to measure that value add that I am bringing to the business. So that's where the adoption will take a hit. Third, and the most practical reason, Santosh, is the sheer labor involved in the whole process, right? So many people have to come together, and most digital transformation projects are structured in such a way that if there are 5 different parts, all 5 have to work for you to see any benefit. It could be 3-4 units doing it very well, but if one unit doesn't contribute, the whole thing will still wait for go live. So that also brings another angle, the integration. How are tools integrated to each other? Then the laborious process may become a little lesser, because easily at certain aspects you can push and pull data from different systems instead of rebuilding them for different stakeholders. That last aspect is the culture that it has to upon. For adoption to happen, it has to be a culture driven, UX driven thought process. How is the last employee in my organization going to see the impact of this initiative? How will he use, let's say, some application, some tool or some AI? How is it impacting his life? How am I educating him about it? Then automatically adoption will skyrocket. And my personal belief is, Santosh, B2C tools mostly start with that mindset. You don't have to go around and advertise for a GPay. Like UPI adoption happened on its own, or let's say WhatsApp. And that's my personal example, because my father, I've seen him, someone who retired, doesn't use any technology, suddenly is on GPay, suddenly is on WhatsApp, chatting with me all the time, etc. Why is that happening? Is because it made the UX, the user experience aspect easier. So then I am able to understand, okay, this is what this tool does. This is how I can easily pay money to someone else. I get a tender coconut. I don't have to carry cash. It makes my life easier. Then you don't have to market the tool. The adoption automatically happens. But in an IT ecosystem, in a digital transformation ecosystem, that we have, let's say, an ERP. But then we have to go into multiple rounds of user education, training aspects, which is needed. But if the tool is done in such a way that the adoption is kept in mind, then it will naturally happen. I, as a marketer, will learn it, and then I'll tell my fellow marketers in my team, hey, start adopting this. This is definitely good for us. But unfortunately, that is not happening. It's now forced, saying, come, attend this training, start using this tool, etc.
That's true. I think that all these 4 points fundamentally boils down to preparation in people. The preparation is obviously the mindset for the entire organization to own digital transformation, but also preparation in terms of are your systems.
Correct.
I think this also brings us to one of the fireside chats in the same Zoho event where Ram Prakash Murthy, he also sat next to Sridhar and Praval, and he eloquently talked about how you have to get your systems in order before you talk about big transformational changes within the organization. So among these 4 reasons why transformation projects fail, from your personal point of view, have you seen any of the 4 or a few stand out and say, okay, this is the most common reason why they fail?
I would say the point number 4, the culture aspect to drive adoption. Again, if we go back to Ram's session that day, he took Uber as an example. Uber introduces, let's say, an automated car. Will every country across the globe use it the same way? It depends on, let's say, the regulation, the road, infrastructure, the maturity of the people, all of that in a particular country. So a country A may actually adopt much, much easier and go smooth with the transition, whereas someone else, let's say, the road infrastructure is not great. How much ever nicer the technology is, it is not going to benefit that country. Same thing for organizations as well. If it comes from a culture mindset that I prepare the ground ready, I tell my employees that this is why we are doing this. I set expectations that this is the transformation that we will see in 3 years. Maybe this journey will be tough, but after that, this is the benefit that we get. I give them confidence that this is not going to result in, let's say, letting go of people or things like that. You will, if something is getting automated, you will be doing something more productive, more beneficial. When all that aspects happen, adoption automatically happens better, Santosh.
Yeah, fair. So I think we have touched upon the challenges and the failures. Just to switch the gear towards the other side of the conversation, from your point of view, what are some, let's say, successful patterns you have seen in transformations where they succeed?
Got it. This is my personal favorite, Santosh, because this is something where, let's say, rubber hits the road. You listen to a presentation, you watch a video, etc. But what exactly can I do? From where do I start, right? I would suggest 3 steps, Santosh. First and foremost, any technology, any tool framework that you are going to use, the starting point is a clear documented BRD, a business requirement document saying, this is what I'm aspiring to do. It can be a simple initiative, but bring all the stakeholders. Let's say I'm introducing a new tool to manage my leads better. Ensure that the marketers, the sales team, the ops team, let's say the product team, everybody is brought on board saying this is the objective. These are the things that we're going to do. This is the capability of the new tool. And then write the first line of code. Or any technology, let's say you use no code, AI, whatever it is. But be clear on the requirement, bring stakeholders together. That's the first step. Second, let's say we take something like a low code, Santosh, as an example. So if you're going to adopt, let's say, Zoho Creator, what I would recommend is start with easy wins. For example, if there is something in your organization that is happening with paper, as simple as, let's say, a visitor management or some approval that is happening over paper, or an Excel sheet where people are coordinating over an Excel sheet, or email where there is back and forth saying, can you approve? I approved. Okay, forwarded. The vendor supplies, those things. Start with things that are easiest, but in the process, two things will happen. One, you will understand how the technology works, how the vendor works. Is Zoho someone I can trust? Is Creator a tool that I can trust? That will happen when you're building something for a very basic, simple requirement. You are not going to lose anything in that, but you will also get the confidence, one. And it will help you with stakeholder management. It could be stakeholder, let's say someone like a CEO, CXO saying, okay, I want to invest in this Zoho Creator because this is the path that I see. See, here is the immediate benefit that I brought. And also other, let's say the employees who are going to use saying, this is how it makes your life easier. So start with something small is the second suggestion. Third, have a center of excellence mindset. Because you had a business requirement document or let's say requirements, then you started with something small, well and good, but that's not the end point. That is a path to an outcome. Now for that outcome to happen, I would recommend a center of excellence mindset in the sense that it solves the culture aspect also where, let's say I am a 5 people IT team and I'm introducing an AI tool to my organization. Instead of just keeping it with myself, let me have one person from sales in my core team, one person from legal in my core team. Let's go through this journey for 3-4 months. They also understand how the tool works, what are the pros and cons of the vendor, etc. Later, when I want to adopt it for different needs, I solved the first simple problem. Now I want to expand it to the other set of core problems. There are multiple stakeholders who are in your core team already who will become your champions. They will convince their fellow marketers, the fellow sales, fellow legal people, hey, I have worked with IT over the last 5 months for this project. I know this is the pros and cons, this is what the vendor brings to the table. Let's go about it like this. Then the adoption will skyrocket and you will get benefit. So in summary, I would say clear requirement, start small, have a center of excellence mindset to expand. That's my recommendation.
I think companies, organizations who successfully transform their businesses, I think these are the 3 things that naturally stand out. And obviously what this speaks to is when the moment people are involved in implementing a very small project, like you said, start easy and achieve, there's certainly more conviction and confidence. You're driving medium scale to large scale transformations anyway. So, but talking of implementing all of these things, how do you measure initiatives for transformation projects implement?
Got it. So, I would start with saying first, fundamental thing is be clear on what you want to measure. When you start out itself, set that expectation that this is what I am trying to achieve. So, that will be critical because it changes based on your organization, the structure that you are in, the path of growth, etc. But from a framework point of view, Santosh, the acronym that I remember is the Coimbatore railway station thing is called CBE. So that's what I remember. Customer, business, employee. What are the customer metrics that you are driving? For example, am I delivering faster? Are my returns reduced? Is my customer satisfaction score increasing? Through all the digital transformation drama that I am doing, is my goal make my customer happier? And what are the things that I will measure saying that my customer is actually happier now? Second is the business aspect. Very selfish, inward focus. Has my revenue increased? Has my revenue per delivery increased? Or profitability per delivery increased? Core business operation aspects, how have things improved based on these digital tools? Last and most important is employees, Santosh. Why I stress upon this is again connecting to the culture that we have been talking consistently. When you look at it as because of these tools, are my employees happier? Have their productivity increased? Is the attrition rate reduced? Are they finding time to do other things? Are they feeling they are growing in their career? Because let's say I introduced a tool, whatever they were doing with, let's say, manually over 6 hours, they're now able to do it in 3 hours. The rest 3 hours, what are they doing? They mean, whether they articulate it or not, when you ask, they will be able to clearly say that, oh, I feel better now at work, So all these 3 metrics, customer, business and employee metrics, what is relevant to you, you pick and choose and see how they are progressing. I think that will be an indicator for how your projects work.
Fair. So this brings us to a nice point of looking forwards on the topic of digital transformation. You briefly touched upon the AI aspect.
Got it.
Being built into Zoho Creator Platforms with low code and no code. Where do you see this lowering the barrier even further for transformation?
I'm going to give a long answer, so alert. So first, let's say take Creator itself, Santosh. Our vision always has been to empower everyone to easily build powerful applications. Multiple keywords here, but everyone. Ensure that everybody, irrespective of the technical expertise, should be able to build. Easily, make the whole process easy. Make the user education material easy. Make the product, the user interface easy. If anybody wants to buy, make the pricing decision easy, etc. Last, powerful. Ensure that you will be able to build powerful applications. So this has been always our vision. Now, AI is sort of skyrocketing all these three aspects in the sense that Creator, we are introducing a lot of interesting AI components now. What these AI tools are doing, or AI inside Creator is doing, Santosh, is again making anybody, irrespective of the technical expertise, to build. You can just chat with the system. You can prompt the system with simple text saying, I want an ERP for a manufacturing company handling olive oil manufacturing, selling across 5 countries. The system just tells you that, hey, these are the modules, these are the fields. Are you okay with this? Edit, say yes, no. In less than 3 minutes, you will get a fully functional application. Not just a form, let's say a report, a dashboard, a mobile app, everything ready in less than 5 minutes. So that's the power that it's bringing. This example itself, it makes the whole process easier. You don't have to break your head in multiple aspects. You are very clear, this is what I want. It gets done as easy as possible. Powerful. AI is making, if I take myself as an example, from my point, Santosh, I was going through the phase of, is AI going to be as impactful as it is being talked about, or is it like another up and down, like let's say Bitcoin? So what I felt, Santosh, initially was, okay, looks like there are some interesting use cases, increasing productivity from, let's say, the current productivity to 2x or 3x productivity, well and good. But now, not just in coding, Santosh, not just, let's say, writing lines of code. AI tools, including, let's say, inside Creator, are able to tell us that, hey, you have written code in a particular fashion. There is a way to do it much better to increase your performance. I can optimize your code. I can ensure your application is scalable. Not just the core, just the lines of code, all the other aspects also now AI is getting involved. And it is not like a theoretical aspect anymore. We are seeing it live in our use cases. So definitely 10x, 20x times productivity is going to happen. So that's the most important trend that we are seeing. But it also brings another interesting angle into the picture because democratization is happening, AI, low code, all that. But what will happen is more and more people will be able to build, which means how do you ensure people are building the right way? How are they doing things that they are supposed to do and not touching things they are not supposed to? Those aspects, we call it compliance, governance, that is going to get even more importance. Yes, everybody can build, but how do you ensure they are doing it the right way? That is going to get more significance.
Within the guidance. Fantastic. I think this also brings to the point where Unsold, what Zoho is doing very well is the education part of it, the support system part of it.
Yeah.
Because while it may not be as overwhelming to develop applications. Citizen developers is a term which is frequently used nowadays, where you don't need to be an out-and-out engineer or a coder to do. But still, from Zoho's perspective, or anybody listening to this, watching the conversation, where you are building applications to support SMBs or even large organizations, education about the product itself, about implementation and supporting once you bring customers on board is also vitally important.
Correct. Right.
Okay. So, this brings us to a very interesting point from my own experience, because I support a lot of early stage B2B startups. Because the barrier has been lowered in creating applications. So this puts a new spin on the question of, should I build or should I buy products on the shelf?
Yeah, correct.
So I think it is always been our time long ago, but right now, the vendor ecosystem, the B2B SaaS ecosystem has to be very mindful of the power of no-code, low-code platforms like Zoho, and truly understand if at large enterprises, a visionary leader can drive through cultural change and implement projects. there are enough tools, enough proven tools built with the most cutting edge technologies which can be implemented. So, which means, what is your business model today? Will it still stand a few years from now? Is a very important and open-ended question.
It is also merging things, Santosh, because these tools, low-code tools, are making the build process easier. The buy vendors are also making their tools a platform. Like, I am not just selling this solution to you, I am also giving these developer components so that you can customize things. So it's everybody, I think there is a bit of a merge that is happening there.
Sure. That is true. And talking about from a business leader's point of view, from within the organization, what are certain things they should be paying attention to, let's say, in the next couple of years, thinking of digital transformation?
Got it. I'll put two things, Santosh. One, the governance aspect that I touched upon. Because tools are going to be available, ensuring the right governance, control, center of excellence thought process, one. Second, this is not just from a tools point of view, but what I am also seeing during conversations with some of our customers is the boundaries between IT and business is really blurring. Not just from a function point of view, like a marketer can build. Not just that, even inside the org hierarchy changes are happening, where IT is becoming IT people, IT folks are becoming a part of the core ops team, core process teams. And there is a central IT team that takes care of implementation, governance, and those aspects as well. So one important change that could happen over the next 5 years, may not be immediately, in markets like India also, is the blurring of boundaries between IT and business. Everybody's role could involve, like how we use, let's say, an Excel or a Zoho Show or a PowerPoint and so on. These tools to build things that you want for your business or your specific role will become an expectation. So that merging is definitely going to happen.
Very fantastic. I think I've enjoyed the conversation thoroughly. Just before I wrap up, I just want to talk about when I talk to people who build a B2B SaaS products, they always say US is the mecca of SaaS, and businesses, even small businesses and people in large organizations, they're open to willingly adapt rather technology, where India story is not so. We are still probably the era of tally versus where small and medium scale businesses still hesitant. Maybe because the market is yet to be so mature. And what we have and what America doesn't have is human resources. When most of the tasks can be manually managed, whereas in the US you don't have that luxury. So there was this interesting story of a client of mine. She visited CRT a couple of years ago to visit her family, and they were astonished that we could book a plumber and he would be at home in 1 day. When in the US it's a bloody nightmare.
Correct.
To get, so you have to wait weeks on end. So that kind of implementation, that brings us to the B2C aspect you're talking about. Is naturally built into where my mother is comfortable booking cabs on Ola.
Correct.
So from a workflow point of view, it's a little complex, but not anymore. It is so simplified. So it has been a wonderful conversation. Bharath, thank you so much for giving us your time. And hopefully we'll catch up for more conversations once you're in Bangalore, maybe.
Definitely, I'll see if I can come watch RCB win the cup. We'll send some paint over the thing.
Technically, RCB has already won it. The girls have done it. When the men do it, I'm not going to lose any sleep over it. Going by how they have recruited recently, maybe I'm being controversial. But anyway, that's a conversation for another night. Thank you.
The pleasure is mine as well, Santosh. Thank you so much for taking the time to come all the way. Thank you.